You seem like a smart, well-informed guardian, so you must have heard this already, but I'm sure there are still a lot of new lights out there who haven't. Bungie released their State of the Game article where they address what's currently going on in Destiny 2, what they have accomplished so far, and where the game is headed in the near future. Now this is a pretty long article, and since I want to respect your time, I'm going to cut through the fluff and focus only on the juiciest bits. The first interesting topic is the update to the ritual playlists. They mentioned the exotic engram drops and the focusing opportunity they've added in Season of the Deep, but the real kicker here is what they have in store for us in the future. We currently can acquire 9 ritual challenge rewards, 3 from Gambit, 3 from Vanguard, and 3 from the Crucible playlists. Come Season 22, we can acquire all 9 of them in any of these playlists. You don't like Gambit? Fine, play Crucible instead or the other way around and you'll still get your rewards. The ritual engram drop rates will also be higher to make playing in these playlists more rewarding in the future. The ritual weapons will now be focusable right from the beginning of the season as opposed to the start of the following one like it is currently. They will add new weapons to the ritual vendor pools in Season 22 and they'll also bring back some fan favorites like the Igneous Hammer Solar Hand Cannon in Trials. I think these are universally good changes overall, nothing to complain about here for now. Next on the list is PvP in general. They talked about what great features and additions they've made to PvP in the past, but they've also acknowledged that most players want 3 things: more maps, less cheaters, and a more diverse meta. Well, for the first one, they straight up say that they don't really have the headcount to do it properly. If they focus on PvP maps, they apparently can create exotic missions and other PvE related things that more people are interested in. Their studio is just not set up like that, you know. However, we will get a new PvP map next season, which is going to be this Vex network team map called Multiplex that you see on the screen. We will get a new game mode called Relic, where you can fight with basically PvE style OP weapons once you charge them enough with kills from your normal loadout. A modifier called Checkmate will also come to PvP, which will favor gunplay above anything else. These are cool, but I don't think anybody was asking for more party modes. There's the Scorch Cannon thingy, Mayhem, and some others I can't think of that are already in the game. These new additions will be introduced in the Crucible Labs playlist that most of us never touch anyway, so chances are you won't even realize these will be added. They'll also tune back on skill-based matchmaking in favor of just finding someone for you to play against, but only for Control and Iron Banner. The rest of the changes are coming in Season 23, but that's like 4 months away, so who cares about those anyway. On the topic of the Vanguard playlist, Bungie said everything is fine, but they'll add medals to the game. You can get these by doing cool stuff, whatever that means, and these will allow you to achieve higher scores during your play sessions. Some battlegrounds will also come to the Vanguard playlist, and after a while they'll be introduced into the Nightfall and GM Nightfall pools as well. Okay, time for some Gambit. This mode will basically spend the rest of the year in hibernation. They think they did enough to revamp this mode in the Witch Queen, but still players avoid it, so they've just given up on it almost entirely. You can still grind for exotic engrams and mode specific loot here, but the seasonal challenges will try to avoid or minimize the requirements of doing Gambit related tasks. They've also said that some changes will come to Gambit next year with the final shape, namely 2 new enemy types and the port of an old map. That's pretty weak if we have to think about how long we have to wait for them and how long they've neglected this game mode altogether. On to the ritual armors. Bungie promised to always add a new set of armors to every ritual playlist with a new expansion, but we didn't get anything new for them in Lightfall. In this article, they backed away from that statement and said that this will no longer be the case. They will introduce new sets next year with the new expansion, and that's about it. They said it takes away resources that they could spend on something else, and people don't really wear them anyway, not even as ornaments it turns out. Well, let me give you a tip, Bungie. If you have the time and resources to make new and exciting sets for the Eververse store every season that I can go and buy right now for real money, I think you could pick a few of those and add them to the ritual playlist vendors instead. Maybe if the quality of the vendor armors was as high as the ones you can buy for real money, people would actually make ornaments out of them. Oh, I almost forgot. Trials players can get this bear themed armor in Season 22, so at least they get something useful next time. Game security and stability topics. I'm not going into details here, they just try to explain what they did to remedy the failing servers, rampant cheaters, and so on. If you're interested in reading this, I leave the article's link in the description below. Quality of life upgrades. We will finally be able to pin 100 favorites in the shaders, ornaments, and emotes categories that will always be displayed before the rest of them from Season 22 onwards. Will this be 100 in each category, or 100 total across all 3 categories? I don't know, but it's finally coming to the game, and I can't wait to not scroll through 10 pages of shaders to get to the one I was looking for from next season onwards. Next, stasis aspects and fragments can be purchased from LC Bray on Europa if you've completed the Beyond Light campaign with your character. Transmat effects will now be unlockables just like the rest of the similar items instead of you having to grab them from your collections tab. Improvements to the Vishender quest line. This will truly be a quest line now in your quest log. Nice. A new resources tab will be added to the collections where you'll be able to see all the currencies and materials in the game, how to acquire them and what you can do with them once you have them. Iron Banner Pinnacle rewards will still require you to have a specific subclass equipped, but the rep grind multiplier won't. Ritual rank up rewards will be instantly available, no need for you to get back to Orbit to get them. And finally, the Sandbox updates. 3 new strand aspects are coming to the game, 1 for each class. They'll continue to rework exotic armor pieces, and they'll be explaining this in detail at a later date. New weapon subfamilies will come with the final shape that you can get a glimpse of on August 22nd. Some weapon tuning is also mentioned here. TLDR is that the optimal engagement ranges will be smaller for most weapons and damage fallout will start earlier. They also have a small list of things that are still to come that you can see on the screen right now if you're interested. The very last section of the article, called Reinforcing Our Goals for the Year, started off by stating that they have expanded players' imaginations by giving us innovative gameplay mechanics with deep dives and pressure trials. Since I personally hate these underwater or under methane sections, I wanted to throw my PC out the window when I read this. It just slows down the pace at which I can complete an activity without giving any meaningful experience to the player. If you've seen it once, you've seen all of them. Not to mention that the graphical fidelity of these watery sections reminded me of World of Warcraft's Vashi region that looked cool at the time, but that time was in 2010. They've absolutely lost me with these bold statements in the article. I could barely force myself to read through the rest of them, but I'll try my best to summarize what might be of interest to you all. Power level cap won't be increased next season either, as they've received mostly positive feedback from the player base. W. The exotic mission rotator feature will come in Season 22 that will allow players to replay older exotic missions. First on the list will be Presage that will allow us to earn the Dead Man's Tale, and for the first time it will be craftable as well. After that will be Vox Obscura and Operation Seraph's Shield with their own craftable rewards and catalysts. A system currently called Pathfinder is also shown in this article that is supposed to be the successor of the bounty system with the launch of the final shape. Not much is visible on this one screenshot, but it looks like you can choose which nodes you want to complete to get to the end goal, which looks like a prime engram. Season 23 will introduce a so-called Fire Team Finder, which is D2's version of LFG for people to complete high-end activities like raids and GM nightfalls. That's all that was interesting for me personally and that I wanted to elaborate on a little bit. Am I 100% satisfied? No. Am I at least a little bit happy for some of these changes? Absolutely. I think some of these were way overdue, like the LFG solution for high-end PvE activities, but we won't see that for a few months still. The Pinnacle reward changes, not requiring all 3 ritual playlists, is also been in my books. However, there were some disappointing news like abandoning Gambit or the BS about not having enough resources to produce ritual armor sets and PvP maps. At this point, just cut Gambit out of the game and hire a few people that can focus full-time on PvP maps without constantly involving other members from the rest of the team. I'll see what Bungie will showcase later in August, but so far I'm not completely sold on everything they've collected here. There are bits and pieces I like and some that I don't, which is personal preference of course, but there's also a ton of corporate BS here that just makes me furious. What do you think about the state of the game article? Was there anything you were genuinely excited about when you read it, eagerly waiting for Season 22 to start, or was this not enough to persuade you to return to the game? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And with that, I thank you for your time here. Like the video if you liked it, comment if you want to share something with the community, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Stay safe, Guardians. Until next time.